Welcome to another jam-packed episode of the Sports Card Nation podcast, the show that brings you all the important news from the sports card hobby. We'll have some debates, opinions, new release schedules, and info. Plus, we'll also discuss the sports that so directly affect the hobby we all love. We'll mix in an occasional gambling tip or two, throw in some life stuff, and bring you great guest interviews from the hobby and sports dignitaries. And if you're good listeners, we may even give away a few things now and then. Now, here's the guy who wanted the cards and not the gum, John Newman.
Welcome to episode 16 of the Sports Card Nation podcast. Got a great guest today. Mike Sommer will join me here shortly on the show. Mike runs Wax Pack Hero, nice little website. He does some reviews, writes some informative articles, and very informative, knows what he's talking about. I love his site. I wanted to have him on. I think you'll like what he brings to the table. He really delves in depth into the Topps Living set. That's something I have purchased and put away. We're definitely going to talk about that and kind of where he sees that going and about the releases that have been released. We're going to talk about the print runs and long-term what he sees us doing. If you get a chance, go check his site out, waxpackhero.com. I know I do that. Things heating up in sports. We got baseball starting. Basketball's getting to crunch time with the playoff push. You got the AAF, hockey. So a lot of sports going on. In the hobby side of things, releases are really starting to come hot and heavy. 2019 Donruss is out. I'm actually going to live rip, air quotes, a box during this show. So we'll see how that goes. But a lot of the releases are really going to start to come hot and heavy for the 2019 hobby season. So, you know, time to decide as a collector what you're going to open, what breaks you're going to buy into. But you're going to have a lot more choices in the next few months here. And on the sports front, we got a lot to talk about. The NFL draft, the combine's in the books. There's a lot of trade talks and teams falling in love with certain players and falling out of love with some certain players on their roster. We're going to talk all about that. We're going to talk a little more about Bryce Harper. You know, even though he's signed and that deal's done, he's chirping a little bit. Some people don't like it. I'm actually going to defend him for some recent stuff in the news with Bryce. So here we go. We love our listeners. We know without you, there's no us. We care about your feedback and opinions and invite you to reach out to us at any of our social media accounts. You can reach us on Instagram at Sports Card Nation Podcast. That's at Sports Card Nation Podcast. Or on Twitter at Sports Card Natty 1. That's Sports Card NATI 1. Or email us at sportscardnationpc@gmail.com. That's sportscardnationpc@gmail.com. We try not to ask for much, but if you are enjoying the show, we ask that you give us a shout out, tell your friends, spread the word, give us a follow on Instagram or Twitter, and we love positive reviews. So we'd appreciate if you took a minute and gave us a positive review on any platform you're listening to the show on. Thank you. All right, it's time for What's Crackin'. Time for the hobby news. Just one thing on the release calendar this week, March 15th, 2019 Leaf Football Draft. Going back to the football, the Optic Contenders is out, doing pretty well. I don't know if it's doing as well as many anticipated with being the football off season, but still a great product. Obviously, the Chrome version of Contenders. And so not a lot of hobby news as far as releases go, but that will ramp up. Things are, with baseball season starting, things are going to be happening soon. Inception will be out on the 20th. That's usually a pretty strong product in the baseball field. And on the show, I'm going to open up a box of the 2019 Donruss. I'll kind of in advance tell you, I actually had 4 hits in my box. My box was pretty good. Wasn't great. I do like the product. Lots of numbered cards and parallels. The nicknames are cool. The thing I like to see Panini do is maybe make them a little bit tougher. They seem pretty easy, which obviously affects the value. I'd like to see, instead of the 10 or 15 that seem to come out of a box, maybe 3, 4, 5, so there's a little more demand for them. But I like the design. The rookies have that 85 Donruss retro type look to it. So for a product that's obviously unlicensed, I enjoy it. Maybe more so than a lot of people. But when that new baseball season rolls around, at the 2 flagships I always open up is obviously Topps and the Donruss. So I'm probably going to give it a thumbs up where others may not as much. I'd like to see them tweak some stuff with it. Like I said, I think the nicknames and variations are a little bit too easy, kind of almost as many variations as regular cards. I'd like to see that more of a 2-to-1 type ratio than a almost 1-to-1 type ratio. But design-wise, I like it. It's fairly clean. The blue parallels with the vintage style backs are kind of cool as well. And they also did the 150th anniversary cards as well. So listen later in the show. I'm going to be opening that box semi-live, if you will. So it's time to grip it and rip it. All right, as promised, we're going to open a box of the new 2019 Donruss Baseball product, just out a few days ago. It's 24 packs per box, 8 cards per pack, 3 autograph or mem cards per box. I'm going to start with pack number 1. We got a black Eric Haas rookie, Kevin Pillar, Alberto Amora Jr. Blue Stars, a Blake Snell Zilla nickname variation, Christian Yelich Diamond King, Trevor Story, Ryan O'Hearn, and Jose Altuve. Pack number 2. David Bote, Pablo Lopez Black Rookie, Chris Sale Blue Star, probably been calling these things wrong, Heimer Candelario, Austin Meadows, Diamond King Real Muto, Miguel Cabrera, and a Justice Sheffield rated rookie. Pack 3. Rookie Taylor Rainey, Shohei Ohtani, a David Wright 150th anniversary stamped card, numbered to 150. Matt Chapman, Yohan Moncada Diamond King, Javi Baez, Trevor Williams, and Kyle Freeland. Pack 4. Garrett Cole, Max Muncy Black, another 150th anniversary, Paul Goldschmidt, numbered to 150. Steven Gonsalves rookie, Christian Yelich nickname variation, Javi Baez Diamond King, AJ Pollock, and Miguel Andujar. Pack 5. This one seems thick. I think it's either a dummy card or a relic. Brad Keller, rookie. Stanton. Cody Bellinger, numbered to 99. Card was a filler. Ronald Acuna, Diamond King. Bogarts, Salvador Perez, Mazzara, and a Dakota Hudson rated rookie. Next pack. Trevor Oaks, Willie Adames. Got a Juan Soto Elite Series. Looks gold, numbered to 349. Sandy Alcantara, Gleyber Torres, Paul Goldschmidt Diamond King, Benintendi, and a Tiki Toussaint rated rookie. Next pack. Josh James rookie, Carlos Carrasco, and a silver, looks like almost like a refractor, Madison Bumgarner, numbered to 326. So that's a stat line insert. Filler card. Kluber nickname variation. Moustakis. Mike Mikolas nickname variation. Luis Urias rated rookie. And Adam Jones. Continuing to the next pack. Trey Turner. Kevin Newman rookie. Got a Mike Trout Action All-Stars, numbered to 999, I think. Nope. Encarnacion, Chris Sale, Whit Merrifield Diamond King, Jose Abreu, and a Franmil Reyes. Next pack. Kobe Allard rookie. Carlos Rodon. Got a American Pride, Tanner Burns, Collegiate National Team, numbered to 249. Jurickson Profar Diamond King, Aaron Nola, Yelich, Nelson Cruz, Real Muto. Next pack, this one's thick. Rendon, Williams Astudillo, rookie. Got a Matt Chapman flipped over. And this one's numbered to 99. Filler card. Trevor Story nickname card. Bregman, DeGrom, David Fletcher rated rookie, and Brandon Nimmo. Next pack. Things are loaded with numbered cards. That's pretty nice. This one's thick. Aroldis Vizcaino, JBJ, a number to 150, Blake Snell, 150th anniversary. Filler card, Max Muncy, Aaron Judge, Mitch Haniger Diamond King, Alberto Mondesi, and Carlos Correa. On to the next pack. Nick Martini rookie, Javi Baez. Got a numbered American Pride, Graham Stinson, numbered to 999. Adam Jones, Diamond King. Daniel Palka, Molina, Starling Marte, and Francisco Mejia. So I believe all the hits should still be remaining at this point. Next pack. Chris Shaw, rookie. Jesus Aguilar, we got our first hit. It's a Nicholas Castellano. Looks like a jersey card. Gray swatch. Bregman. Scherzer Diamond King. Fernando Romero. Joey Gallo. And Felix Hernandez. Next pack. Ryan Borucki, rookie. Jose Martinez. Framber Valdez, rookie. Jose Berrios, Diamond King. Harrison Bader. Rhys Hoskins. Ryan Yarbrough. And a Kyle Tucker rated rookie. Continuing on, should be 2 hits remaining. Steven Gonsalves, rookie. Mitch Haniger, got a Joey Gallo stat line, numbered to 180, or no, 499. Conforto, Goldschmidt, Matt Chapman, Diamond King, Edwin Diaz, Chris Bryant. Next pack. Tyler O'Neill, Miles Straw, rookie. Wilson Ramos, Matt Carpenter, Trevor Richards, rookie. Jose Ramirez, Miles Mikolas, Max Scherzer. A little more than halfway, I think. Daniel Ponce de Leon, rookie. Andrew Heaney. Got a Silver Elite Series, Kristen Yelich, numbered to 999. Juanjo, nickname Juan Soto. Lorenzo Cain. A Walker Buehler, nickname Buehler's Day Off. Christian Stewart, rated rookie. And Mike Minor. Next pack. Hunter Pence. Bryce Wilson, rookie. Got a autograph card, looks like. Signature series of pitcher Ryan Barucki of the Toronto Blue Jays. Bryce Harper, Matt Chapman, Odubel Herrera, and Chris Sale. This pack seems thick. Patrick Wisdom, rookie. Scooter Gennett. And this is a Miggy Cabrera jersey card with a pinstripe from his, looks like his Florida Marlin days. So there's the 3 hits. Suarez, Marquez, Jacob Tyler Realmuto nickname, Brandon Belt, and a Garrett Hampson rated rookie. Five packs left, unless we get a bonus. That should be it for hits. This pack's thick, but I'm sure it's a dummy card. Taylor Ward, rookie. Brandon Crawford. Heath Fillmyer, rookie. Rafael Devers. Aaron Nola, Diamond King. A Ronald Jose Acuna Blanco Jr. nickname variation. Sean Newcomb and Francisco Lindor. Four packs left. Jake Cave, rookie. James Paxton. Got a blue Stars, Noah Syndergaard. Starling Marte. J.D. Martinez. Jameson Taillon. Eugenio Suarez. And Andrelton Simmons. Down to 3. Reese McGuire, rookie. Zach Greinke, a Corey Kluber blue. Shohei Ohtani Diamond King. Josh James rookie. Mookie Betts. Jamie Barrera. And another Mookie Betts. So there's two. It has to be a photo variation. Two Mookie Betts. One different photos. Two more packs. Freddie Peralta. Matt Boyd. Matt Carpenter. Filler. Anthony Rizzo. Nicholas Castellano. Diamond King. Ryan Tellez, rookie. Another Nicholas Castellano regular, and David Wright regular card. We'll have to go through these afterwards, see if there are any variations I might have missed, like photo-wise. Continuing on, Kyle Gibson, and there's another hit. So there's 4 hits in this box. The last one's a Matt Olson jersey card, white swatch. Mike Trout, Jacob deGrom Diamond King, Bryce Harper, Jeff McNeil rated rookie, and Josh Donaldson. So that's the box. I'll have to go through these. If I may post something on social media with some of the hits and nickname variations and numbered cards. So, thank you. Have a business or event you'd like to promote or highlight? Become a show sponsor. For a very affordable cost, we can highlight your company or business, either on the podcast or on our website or both. So whether you're a dealer, a breaker, or any other business, we really would love to work with you. Contact us at any of our social medias or email us at sportscardnationpc@gmail.com. That's sportscardnationpc, all one big word, @gmail.com. We look forward to working with you. All right, joining me next on the Sports Card Nation podcast is a gentleman. He goes by the name of Mike Sommer, and he has a website called Wax Pack Hero that I'm a fan of myself, and it's very informative, checklist, product reviews. And the one thing, there was 2 articles that caught my attention that I particularly like. He breaks down the Topps Living set, something I enjoy and participate in to a level I've never seen anyone else do it. So I'm going to have him on to talk a little bit about that. And you know, with the rising post office shipping rates, he did a great article on shipping, and we did a whole show pertaining to that as well. But the way he broke it down was informative, great. I'm plugging him before he even gets on. If you can, get to his site, Wax Pack Hero. But better yet, I'm going to bring Mike on right here, right now to talk about exactly what I just talked about. So, Mike, welcome.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to talk.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for coming on. So, before we get into the kind of the crux and the meat of things, if you want to give, I know it's on your site, I read it, but for those listening, kind of give people kind of how you got in the hobby and kind of your background as far as being in the hobby.
Sure. Yeah. So I grew up in the 80s, like many of us collectors, and I actually got started collecting in 1986. I was getting into Little League at the time. My grandma actually was a diehard Cubs fan, and so she converted me at an early age to being a Cubs fan. And in the summer of '86, I was actually at a department store and sitting on the counter of the department store was a solo box of 86 Tops, and the first pack that I saw on top had a Thad Bosley Cubs card right there in the window. And so that was the first pack I ever bought because it was a Cubs player, and so an 86 Thad Bosley is what got me into collecting. And so that was I was 9 or so at the time. And so from 86 on through probably the mid-90s as I was up into high school, I was a pretty avid collector throughout that junk wax era. Fell off for a period of time, probably 20 years through college and in my kind of early career years. And then back in late 2015, I saw an online ad for one of the big online retailers, and decided maybe I want to get back into it, and started dabbling again and found my local hobby shop in the town that I live in. And since then really just started jumping head first back into collecting and building out my collection again. I was happy that I never got rid of any of the stuff that I had as a kid. It just kind of sat in the closet for that 20 years, but it's been great getting back into it over these last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I love asking everyone that I have on kind of, how they kind of, started. And a lot of the stories are usually pretty similar. Yours is a little different. Most of the stories wind up being with the original kind of cards kind of being thrown out by mom and dad when someone goes to college or spring cleaning, and you're kind of the exception to the rule. Like you said, you actually have all that original stuff, so that's pretty cool.
Yep.
And Thad Bosley, you never know who we're going to talk about on the show. That's I believe, the first Thad Bosley. I do remember him though. So
yeah, I may be the only Thad Bosley super collector that's out there. I think I've tracked down, I don't have them all yet, but I think he only has somewhere between 60 and 70 unique cards.
Yeah.
And he's had some of these, Tops, rediscovered Tops buyback stamps and things like that, but it's a pretty small super collecting set to go after, but I'm in the process of trying to track him down. I've got all of the standard issues, but it's some of those like serial cards or fireman protection promotion cards and some of that kind of stuff that it's a little bit tougher to track down.
Yeah, and it's funny with a player like Bosley, who's not a superstar, an all-star. With a lot of these newer products, they still keep bringing back the Nolan Ryan, Cal Ripkens. You're not going to have to deal with that so much with that Bosley. But like you said, they do those buyback and rediscover Tops. That's where you might have to grab those. But other than that, if you can kind of backtrack and fill in the blanks, it's a little bit easier for you.
That's for sure.
So that's like I said, I kind of plugged the site, Wax Pack Hero. A lot of times people on shows, they plug something and they really never been there, or they're just kind of going through the motions, kind of lip service. That isn't the case here with me. I've checked the site out, like I said, seeing that the analytics on the Tops Living set kind of speak to that, how you kind of got into the Tops Living set. I think you mentioned to me off the air, you kind of got in late, then you kind of backtracked. I'm the opposite. I kind of got in early, and recently I've kind of tailed off. So we're kind of on different ends of the spectrum. But speak to kind of how you got involved with the Living set.
Sure, yeah. Overall, I started the site because as I got back into collecting in 2015, 2016, there's so much had changed, and me as a kind of the average collector, I wasn't sure where to start, and so it took so much time to try to figure out what are things like, what are sets like, where do I find the checklists, how do you buy and sell online, and all of that type of stuff was new to me at the time, and so I wanted to just start. My idea was to start a blog of putting a resource out there for the kind of the everyday collector of here's how you do some of that stuff, here's some information about some of these sets, and it's gradually kind of built from there. last summer, specific to the living set, one of my buddies, Stefan, he had been starting from the beginning. He's a Yankees fan, so Judge being card number one, got him in from day one. But he kept talking to me about how cool these cards were, and tracking the print runs and kind of the story behind which cards were going to have a big print run versus a small print run. And eventually he kind of got me hooked, and I started picking up the new cards as they were released, and then also going back to fill in some of the holes I was missing. I think I started probably August of last year and went back and caught up from there, and was able to now I've got the full set from card 1 through current. And so I was having fun doing that, but then, there's bits and pieces you'd see about, what was the print run for that card, or what was Bo Jackson's print run? What were those first few weeks? What did they get compared to now? How many of those were veterans compared to rookies or retired players, and all of that kind of stuff. And it's like, well, maybe I'll expand or put a section on the blog or on the website to just kind of capture some of that kind of historic living set stat information. My day job, I deal a lot with statistics and metrics and a lot of numbers, and so it kind of fit in with kind of what I do on an everyday basis too, and that's kind of what prompted me to kind of fill that out and tell a little bit about my living set story and the journey of filling some of those things out, and we'll see where it goes from there. But yeah, that was a fairly recent addition to the site.
Yep, and like I said, anyone out there that likes the living set or is interested in it, definitely check out what Mike does with it. It's informative. I thought I knew some stuff, and I learned some stuff. So no matter how much you think you know about it, you're probably going to be enlightened by it. Where do you see, it's a great concept, kind of never really been done before, a kind of a eternal set. I mean, what do you see kind of in the future? I mean, we're just kind of putting on, our prediction hats. I mean, Topps is pretty, close to the vest with future plans with it. Do you think they right now it's the 53 design. Do you think they go off that at some point, or do you think they just keep that as their design?
Like you said, we're kind of speculating at this point, but I think for the foreseeable future, they're going to keep the 53 design. I think at least publicly that's what they've stated, that it'll always stay at the 53 design. I think this next year is going to be interesting. I think this week is actually the 1-year anniversary of the living set first cards being released. And so, the average sales kind of peaked at somewhere around week 13 or 14, I think. And it's kind of slowly declined ever since then, which isn't completely unexpected, with a few blips here and there. And we're right now just coming off of the postseason lull or the off-season lull. And so I think there's going to be a lot of interest to see where do things go as we get started in the midst of the second full year and the second full season. The big rookie class last year, I think really helped propel it because there's, Soto and Acuna and all of those guys, really, really boosted some of those sales numbers. But it'll be interesting to see where it goes. I think one of the things I put on there is just kind of that breakdown of veterans to rookies to retired. And, there's been, as you'd expect, almost 2/3 of the cards so far are current veteran players, about a quarter of them being rookies, and then only 12% being kind of those retired superstars. I think it'll be interesting to see if we get some retired guys who are more fan favorites versus the Hall of Famer type guys, and see what that does. We haven't really had any of those types of situations yet. I'm curious to see where that goes this year. And then obviously there's still some huge names like Trout, that we haven't seen a player or we haven't seen a card of yet.
Yeah. I'm wondering, makes you wonder if they're holding back for a certain number, or who knows what. For those that don't know, too, the way it works is they issue 3 cards every week. No one will be repeated twice unless they change teams. So, i.e., Machado, now being a Padre, can get another living set card designated as a Padre, and that sort of thing. Harper now as a Philly. But if they don't change teams, they won't get another card issued. So I just wonder, if this thing really continues, Mike, for many years, if they'll ever get in a situation where they may actually run out of players to literally do, especially on maybe current wise.
Yeah, I think there's a chance that at some point a rookie class might get thin, and they might have to shift to more of those retired players. But it would be, I think it would be tough if they stick to 3 cards a week.
Yeah,
I think it would be tough to ever fully run out of guys. But I can see why they don't want to kind of top load or front load all the huge names into this first year or two, just seeing where it goes.
Yeah, and it will be interesting to see. Speaking of my experience with Topps Living Set, I kind of was in early. I stayed on, and I still love it. And now I'm kind of just will buy only certain players rather than all of them. So I don't have them all. I kind of pick my spots, pick a player, a rookie, kind of a superstar, and that sort of thing. It's almost kind of to the point. I haven't really done it on this level, but you almost think like maybe you don't pick a popular player, so there'll be less made, because they only print what is ordered. So you think maybe that lesser popular player, 2,000-3,000 people buy the card, it'll be a lower print run. You almost use kind of reverse psychology rather than buy an Acuna who, off the top of my head, I believe the print run is somewhere like 46,000. And you have a lot of these lesser known, lesser talented players, if you will, selling between, 3,000 and 5,000 copies. And you almost, I think it's there's a little strategy involved there as well.
Yeah, I mean, from a value perspective, those lower print runs, especially the early low print runs, have the most kind of aftermarket value, and on some of the message boards that are dedicated to the living set, and there's definitely a speculation or almost a game to figuring out what this print run is going to be, and if it's a low print run, is that it's bad for the longevity of the set maybe, but good for the short term value or the flippableness of if that's a word.
It is now.
Of some of these low print run type guys, and so there's definitely that feel for people who want the big name players, but also people who get excited about having some of these cards of the kind of middling players that maybe don't have as big of a following and will ultimately lead to a lower print run. We are in the postseason or the off season, so it's not totally surprising, but just in the last few weeks, we had the first several cards that ended up with a print run below 3,000 that we've had since, card number 6.
Yeah.
And so that just kind of adds fuel to the fire of people trying to figure out where are we going with this? What are they going to do to try to get, print runs up and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't know. It makes it fun. It's neat that the cards are available for 1 week and 1 week only. And then after that, it's up to the secondary market. It's interesting to me from the business aspect of people who are buying and collecting just for the sake of collecting this kind of unique set. And then you've got some guys who are buying 25, 50, 75 of every card in order to be the guy who can sell it on the aftermarket on eBay or through some of the other online marketplaces. And so there's just so many things that all come together with it that it makes an interesting case study for me.
Yeah, and then you add in the grading factor. People are sending these things in to get graded. So, you got the whole gem mint versus a 9 and the pop reports there as well. So, like you said, there's so many variables, so many different angles to look at this thing. It's crazy. Now, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you just get one of each, or will you do some of that speculating we talk about where you say, well, I'm going to buy 5 of this and 3 of that, and or do you just kind of get just every one and that's what you do?
I am somewhere in the middle. So when it comes to the new releases every week, most of the time I'm just buying the 3-card bundle.
Yep.
For $15, we get one of every of the 3 cards for each week. There was a few weeks there during the off season, kind of with the thought of, hey, print runs might be a little lower, maybe I'll buy 2, and so I bought 2 bundles for some of those weeks.
Yep.
But then on like ComC or eBay, I'll still keep an eye out for some bulk lots of people who are trying to offload them, where I can pick them up, where I feel like at a good price, and kind of hold on to those. And so I've got a decent supply of doubles or triples that I've picked up from a variety of those types of sources. But on an ongoing basis right now, I'm just buying the 3-card bundle direct from Topps.
Yeah. So like I said, I've kind of fallen off a little bit lately, truth be told. Last I knew, I don't know if it's changed. I believe it was the Nicholas Castellano was the highest selling single living set card. Is that still correct, or is my information wrong?
I honestly have not looked since I picked the Castellanos and the Markakis were the 2 biggest ones that I needed to track down when I was filling in my set. And that was probably November-ish when I did that. And so I honestly haven't priced them since then.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure it's still somewhere between the Castellanos and Markakis. Maybe the Panic also was a little bit higher, but either card 3 with Castellanos or 6 with Markakis were the top 2 at the time.
Yep.
And I think are still the top 2.
Yeah, and the thing is, Mike, I think some of the, like you said, the kind of the hype kind of died down a lot. So some of those print runs have come down. If I'm not mistaken, there are some cards that have lower print runs than even those 2 now that are not bringing even the same value. But a lot of it is because those came out a while ago, so they're harder to they're a little more not as recent, so to backtrack and get them is also in play. And the people that are making sets are not going to get rid of them, because if they get rid of them, then they have their sets incomplete. So there's, like I said, there's so many different angles to it, which is what makes it fun and interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, Markakis is still the lowest at 2,678. So some people call it the 2678 club, because as of now there can't be any more sets than the 2678. But there's definitely, like I said, in the last few weeks, been some others below 3,000 that are not, they're nowhere near the price of some of those early cards yet.
Yeah, and it's funny, when I was a little more into it than I am at the current stage, although I still dabble, there were certain guys too, when you go back the following week and see the print runs, a couple of them really kind of surprised me, fairly popular stars, and they were only in, the 6,000 or 7,000 kind of print run, and then while others are bringing, 5-digit print runs. Acuna, I believe, is the highest at 46, and it's really not even close for second. So, and you can still get Acuna's at a pretty decent price level. I think where the Acuna's kind of come in, where they go for a little bit more, obviously, is those gradeds that gem out. So, but if someone's looking for a raw Acuna, there's still, and when you think about it, it's one of his rookie cards as well. So,
yeah, Acuna is the biggest. Ohtani, Torres, those are all the Soto. Those big rookies from last year are the ones with the biggest print run up to this point. But you've had, Ichiro was good, Judge was good.
Yeah.
They had some high runs. But in kind of in the whole off season, you had, Ruth at card number 100 was kind of at the very end of the season, I believe. And then in the full off season, Mariano Rivera at 136 was the first card in weeks that actually boosted the print run average, the overall average, with almost 9,000. It had been kind of trending in the 3,000 to 4,000 range for several weeks until he came out and had almost 9,000.
Yeah, and he's a super popular player. Obviously, first unanimous Hall of Famer. Deservedly so. We could get in that whole debate. He probably shouldn't have been the first one. You always have those Hall of Fame voters that just abstain and say, I'm not going to do it and give it to this person. Griffey probably should have been, and obviously even more so than even Griffey. So, times are kind of changing. I think people are... just doing the right thing, voting the right sort of way. Just to close out, kind of your thoughts on the living set, Mike. Where do you kind of, again, putting on kind of our peer into the future caps, where do you see it? How long do you have any kind of thoughts on how long you think this goes and what direction, if any change of direction?
Yeah, I think I'm really interested to see what happens as the season gets started this year. Do we start to see the numbers tick back up a little bit? I mean, even with what they're doing now, it's roughly 10,000 cards a week that they're selling, and from a revenue perspective for Topps, you figure somewhere between $5 and $7 a card. So $50,000 to $70,000 a week. Probably nothing to shake a stick at. I don't know what their cost structure is on these, because those are the prices with including free shipping and all of that. But I would think at the current levels, even though it's lower than it was when it first came out, that's still something that Topps would be interested in producing. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens. They continue to expand their online kind of direct-to-consumer offerings, and I think it'll be interesting to see if some of that dilutes the potential buyers or takes some of those funds away of people who were buying living set and are now going to buy this 150th anniversary set or the never-ending, Topps Now offerings. It'll be interesting to see how that impacts the living set numbers over the course of this year as well. But there seems to be a pretty solid collector base to it. I really wish they would take the opportunity to market it a little better. I mean, Heritage just came out. It would have been a perfect opportunity to put one of those kind of promo cards in these packs of Heritage of people who already like a vintage style card, and expose some people who may not even know what's out there to it. So I think there's a lot of opportunity that they still have to market it, because there's still a lot of people who don't know anything about it.
It's funny. There's probably people who see these cards in showcases at shows and think it's probably an archive card itself. And you made a great point. I didn't even think of this is the Heritage is a great product to put an ad card, a filler card talking about the living set. One of the knocks on Topps, to be honest with you, not to pile on them, they're I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York, so I was a Topps kid. But one of the current knocks on them is that there are some people in the industry that feel like the people that making the decisions there aren't really in touch with the hobby, kind of corporate bean counters, if you will, not really, have their finger on the pulse of the hobby. And what you said would have made, it just would have made perfect sense to do that. And it's not really an additional cost. It's just inserting them, like you said, into the packs. And what do you lose from doing that? If no one responds to it, it didn't really cost you anything extra to do it. And you're going to get a response from it when you market that much product. So it just it's kind of head scratching, like you said, that someone from Topps, here we are on a podcast, and it makes logical sense, and no one in corporate either thought of it or they didn't implement it, either or. So it's those sort of things that really make you wonder what goes on sometimes behind the scenes.
Well, who knows? Maybe they'll start listening and reach out to get some ideas from some of us collectors.
Yeah, there you go. And I think that's sometimes I think that's where a lot of that should come from, because that's who's out there fueling the products and consuming them. So, that's I think there's probably a little more interactiveness probably would help some of these companies out. So that being said, I talked about the other article I read on Wax Pack Hero, which was a great piece on shipping, what methods to use, how to save a few dollars. And it seems like, Mike, every year now, it's almost like clockwork. The Postal Service announces rate hikes, and now they went into the zone shipping. So, I do sell cards as a dealer. So if I send the same card from here in New York to Ohio and then one to California, that person in California is going to cost more, to purchase the same card when you incorporate shipping, unless the seller itself kind of eats the difference, which I do actually do sometimes. And I get it. It's traveling more miles. It's being handled longer. And, I get the analytics of it. But, even a regular stamp has now went up to 55 cents. And it's kind of impacted some of those low-end sales, whether they're even worth doing. And I'm not a huge fan of plain white envelope shipping. I kind of frown on it. But I'm going to be honest with you, I've done a little bit more in the last few months than I've ever have previously, and it's something you kind of to keep those $10 to $20 deals and trades and sales going. I think you have to kind of think a little bit outside the box or do things a little differently. Your piece on your site kind of touches on that and some other things you can do, kind of the save a little money here and there. But it seems like every year it's like clockwork, an announced rate hike, and it's like, I'm hoping one of these years we don't get one.
Yeah, it's always frustrating when we see the prices of postage go up, but I think when you really think about it, it's pretty remarkable that you can send something halfway across the country or all the way across the country for 55 cents, or $3 even for with the shipping discounts that you get on PayPal or eBay for a bubble mailer. It's frustrating that it goes up, but it is pretty remarkable when you think about what we have the opportunity to do and what the sales that we're able to have, those of us that sell, the sales that we're able to have because of eBay and some of these online marketplaces, and then sending things in through the mail. It's pretty remarkable. We'll probably have a differing opinion on the plain white envelope. That's actually one of my kind of passion projects, I guess, is I got back into collecting. I buy and sell a lot of low end stuff.
Yeah.
So, and part of the niche that I found is that a lot of people put very little value on some of those cards that are either base cards or $1, $2, $3, $4 cards. And so I've kind of found that shipping those and making it clear that if somebody buys those cards from me, they're going to come in a white envelope and they need to be comfortable with that. But shipping cards safely in a plain white envelope is something that is probably, I would say, the single biggest factor that's allowed me to make a little side money and collect for free, because I've found that niche. And actually, when I first started the blog, that was one of the first articles I wrote of how to ship safely in a white envelope. And to this day, according to the analytics that I can see, that's still the most popular article that I've got on the site. People Googling how to ship in a white envelope and going to the article I wrote about it. And so I will down to my last breath, I think here, I say a little facetiously, be a proponent of shipping appropriate cards in a white envelope. For me, that means in that $5 to $6 and less range. I wouldn't send a big auto or anything big like that. But those low end things, and white envelopes make a lot of sense if you do what it takes to properly protect it and make sure that the buyers understand what they're doing. I'm not charging $3 and shipping in a 55-cent or a 70-cent stamp. It's clear in my listings and that they're coming in a white envelope. But man, it's allowed me to have hundreds, if not thousands, more of sales.
Yeah, and I think you hit it right on the head. And I agree with you, and I've utilized that method of shipping as well. If it's packaged right, I know what I do, and I think your piece illustrates that. Is I use a kind of an 8x10 piece of paper. I'll use the longer business envelopes, and I'll fold that, tri-fold that, and I'll put that card kind of in the center, and I'll kind of tape it so it stays in there and doesn't slide around. And I'll use that tri-fold as kind of a buffer. With the weight, I'll use those thinner dummy cards as well in a team bag to kind of give it a little bit of a cushion. And like you said, if it's done properly and whatnot, that's really the key.
Yeah. And so that was one of the first things I wrote, and then the one that the other article that I wrote a month or so ago or a few weeks ago was just kind of talking about the other shipping options and what can you actually fit in the different size priority boxes, because part of saving on shipping is getting the most bang for our buck and getting the most cards that you can safely into the different shipping options. So I kind of covered what you can fit in a padded flat rate envelope versus the medium and large flat rate boxes and that type of thing. Just every little bit helps, right? So I just wanted to kind of add that as a service to other collectors, so that we'd have a resource to go to kind of get a general guide on what can we fit in these different priority boxes, so that we can do our best to save a little bit. And then also, shipping and printing your labels directly from PayPal or eBay saves over going to the post office. How can you package and ship and save time, which time is money, right?
Yep.
So I just wanted to kind of provide a resource to give collectors a few extra tips on how to save a little money on shipping.
Well written, I think it was very informative. I've shipped for many years, but even someone like myself learned a few things as well. And I know for those people who are maybe not as experienced, it's definitely going to be something they should look at. Probably, things you didn't even realize with, different discounts and like you said, with the flat rate boxes and whatnot. Speaking of the plain white envelope shipping too, Mike, I think the biggest complaint, I see a lot of times online is someone who, like, especially with eBay, they'll win an auction and, the auction says $3 or $4 shipping, and then, they pay that, they kind of expect that. I know I would at $3 or $4 shipping, I'm going to expect it in a bubble mailer, and then that comes in a plain white envelope as kind of a ploy for a seller to actually pocket a few extra dollars on the sale, and obviously people get upset. And especially if that card comes damaged and whatnot. So, like you said, communication is key. When I have, and like you said, you've done it yourself, if I'm shipping via that method, both parties know that. There's really no surprises there.
Oh, yeah. The purpose is not to try to pull one over on somebody. It's got to be that both people understand that's why it's happening, and that's part of, for me, a lot of my auctions and a lot of my fixed sales are free shipping on eBay, and then I sell a lot on SportLots, SportLots.com as well, and it's kind of understood that the budget shipping options on SportLots for those kind of lower dollar base cards are going to be via PWE.
Yep.
So. I think, communication is key. It's definitely not an avenue to try to charge $3 or $4 for shipping and then ship in a 70-cent.
Yeah,
with a 70-cent stamp.
Yeah, you know how that goes. As long as they can, it's an avenue. Someone's going to go down that street, and you always hear like the horror stories where that item, number one, the person's mad to begin with that they were charged that, and it went that method, and then the second level to that is when that card, unfortunately, may get damaged on top of that, and then that's a whole nother can of worms. So
that is true. Yeah, I think as I've done it, and I think I kind of touched on this in the article. It's been hundreds or thousands of cards that I've shipped that way now, and in that time, I think there's been less than 10 claims that I've had of people either claiming that it never made it or that it was damaged.
Yeah,
and I'm happy to refund those 10 orders for $1 or $2 or $3 or whatever they were, being low dollar cards. In order to have the opportunity to generate an extra hundreds or thousands of sales.
Yep, and I hate to say it, but I'll say it for you. Maybe you're thinking, out of that 10, who knows, maybe there's a few that aren't necessarily being 100% truthful as well. So maybe that number might not be as actually high as 10 potentially either. So.
It's something that a lot of people have a fear about, doing it that way, but I just haven't realized it being a big issue for me.
Yep. Well, Mike, again, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you coming on. I love the site, Wax Pack Hero. I'm going to kind of give you the closing here, kind of whatever you want to share, plug your site, give out your URL or your social medias, anything coming down the turnpike you kind of want to highlight or plug. Now's your chance.
Sure, thanks. Yeah, waxpackhero.com is the blog. I started it because I was a collector getting back in after being out of the hobby for several years, and there was a lot of things I was trying to learn, and just wanted to create a resource that people would be able to go to learn about a specific set or the hobby or the industry in general. And that's kind of my goal there, is to be a resource for collectors. I also enjoy the buying and selling and trying to offset as much of the cost of collecting as I can. And so those articles that I'll put up on just kind of maybe how to maximize the potential return that you can get from buying and selling cards. I'm at the Mike Sommer on Twitter, and so I try to be active on Twitter as well. So I'd say I'd appreciate a follow there, and also you can find me on YouTube as well. I have a channel there you can search on Wax Pack Hero and come across my channel there, where I'll put up some box breaks and some other things like that. So you can also find all of those social links off the website. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm up to these days.
Awesome stuff. Once again, Mike, thank you. Everyone out there, give Mike a follow, Twitter, check out his YouTube channel, and definitely check out his site, Wax Pack Hero. Someone like myself who's been doing this since 1979 in some capacity, and I enjoyed it. I learned some stuff, so I know you can as well. So check out Wax Pack Hero. Mike, once again, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks. I had a lot of fun.
For over 25 years, Newman Sports Cards has set the standard in customer service in the sports card industry, including same-day shipping. They've added supplies and some wax products to their already great arsenal of rookie cards, game-used cards, autos, and graded cards. Check their fully searchable website out by Googling Newman Sports Cards. It's the first thing that comes up. Click on that link. Or follow them on the social medias at Newman_sportscards at Instagram, or at Twitter at Nooms Sports Cards, or give them a call or text at 315-491-0239. It's time for From the Box Seat. Let's start off with baseball. Let's start off with Bryce Harper. Obviously, by now we all know Bryce Harper is signed on with the Phillies, 13 years, $330. Big sign for them. I think it's a good deal. It's not overly exorbitant, and it's friendly to the Phillies. He doesn't have kind of an out clause, And he said he wants to stay there. He wants to build a World Series type team. He's gotten in a little sort of hot water recently. You know, he's friends with Mike Trout, Chris Bryant, and he's publicly kind of tried to recruit Mike Trout to come to kind of his hometown team and join him in a couple years when his contract in Anaheim is up. And Anaheim's filed a grievance with Major League Baseball. I'm not sure much can be done about it. And I'll be honest with you, I don't really have a problem with what Bryce is doing. He's just basically said who wouldn't want Mike Trout on their team. I think pretty much every player on every team, every front office guy on every Major League Baseball team would want the best player in baseball on their team. So, you know, you really can't do nothing about it. He's just saying he'd love to have him come to Philly. You know, I think everyone would say that. I think he's getting in trouble because he went on publicly and said it. And then they asked him again. He didn't backpedal. He said, yeah, I said it because I mean it. So I don't think much can be made of it. I don't think baseball can fine him. They might, behind the scenes, kind of tell him, can you stop doing that? But more of a request than a demand. So it doesn't bother me like it's bothering some other people. Obviously, it's going to bother the Angels. They don't want to lose Mike Trout, the best player in the game, and they don't like the fact that someone's kind of actively hinting and recruiting for him to leave their organization. You know, and regardless of what Harper says or anyone else says, you know, Trout, when the time comes, will make that decision. You know, and I think, you know, he's going to decide where he wants to play, and probably similar to Harper, he's going to get a long-term deal wherever that is, whether it's he stays in Anaheim or goes to Philly or anywhere else. He's going to get paid, probably be the new record contract, trumping any of the previous ones, and that'll be a decision that him and his family will have to make. And I don't think it's going to be based on what Harper says. You know, if he goes to Philly, it's not necessarily because Harper recruited him there. If he goes to Philly, it's probably because he thinks he has the best chance of getting a ring there and getting paid. So you really nothing you can do about a guy openly saying he'd love to play with the best player in baseball. So I think it's a little bit of much to do about nothing. We'll see how this thing turns and what occurs, but I really don't think anything is going to occur. Some rumblings out of Jays camp is that the Blue Jays aren't real excited about the weight that Vladdy Jr. is on his frame, and they'd like him to get in better shape, better conditioning. You know, some people are, you know, in the hobby world are starting maybe panic a little bit, thinking maybe he won't have as long of his career. Maybe he'll struggle with the weight. You know, let's be real. If he hits, if he performs as expectations lead you to believe, it doesn't really matter what he weighs. Now, there's two theories to that. You know, we all know the Prince Fielders type, CC Sabathia body types. Maybe their career's a little shorter. You know, Prince Fielder started getting some injuries, and those bigger body types tend to break down a little sooner. But when we're talking about the here and now, it's what have you done for me lately in most sports. And if Vladdy hits, if Vladdy plays and hits home runs and drives and runs like everyone thinks he's capable of doing, that weight issue and those rumblings and stuff will quiet down. If maybe he struggles in his early career, then that stuff's going to get a lot louder. So really, it's going to be on performance. You know, if he doesn't play well, people are going to point to the weight and maybe not being in great shape. If he performs well, they're going to point to, hey, it doesn't matter. He's just a great player. You know, Kirby Puckett wasn't an Adonis. He's a Hall of Famer. And there's a few guys that fit that mold. So it's going to come down to what Vladdy does as a player. If he does well, people won't even mention the weight. If he struggles, and it comes right back to the forefront. So it's going to be what it is. We'll see. We'll see what he does. I'm expecting him to probably go to AAA. If he rakes there, he'll get an early call up. But I don't think it hurts his prospect billing at all. The only thing that's going to hurt his prospect billing is him himself and his performance. On to the NFL. The Combine is in the books. Many players have helped their draft stock based on their Combine performance alone. One of those guys, DK Metcalf, out of Mississippi, 6'4" sophomore, 230 pounds, ran an incredibly fast 40 time. I think he bench pressed 27 reps, don't quote me. Just had an amazing Combine. Definitely helped his draft stock. Has what you want in a receiver with a 6'4" frame, 230 speed. Just a freak on the measurables. Now, how that translates to performance in the NFL, we're going to have to wait and see. But he's definitely moved up the draft boards. We can't talk about the NFL and the draft without talking about Kyler Murray. Seems like a few teams and few coaches have fallen in love with him. Cliff Kingsbury in Arizona and John Gruden in Oakland. And the hottest rumor is that Oakland's going to try to trade up to get in a position to draft Kyler Murray. Kingsbury has said even before he got the job in Arizona that if he had the first pick, he would take Kyler Murray. Well, guess what? He has the first pick. He's not a Josh Rosen guy. And Josh Rosen now is rumored to be on the trade block. One of the teams rumored to be interested in him is the Redskins. Gruden has came out kind of behind the scenes and expressed an interest in having Murray be a Raider. Now I'm hearing rumors that Derek Carr is going to be on the block. And to me, if the Raiders move up, whether they get the first pick or another pick where Murray is available to them, there's no way Carr can stay there. So it sounds like the Raiders are going to move off Carr and make a play for a quarterback. Murray might be the top choice, but, they probably like Haskins, maybe even somebody else, a Lock, Will Greer. But I think Gruden's ready to move away from Derek Carr. So I expect to see Derek Carr potentially in a new uniform in 2019. I think Kyler Murray's going to wind up either in Arizona or the Raiders, either with the first or third pick. And here's a guy I wasn't even sure he was going to play football. If you heard what Charlie Casserly said, former GM, 3 Super Bowl titles in that position, he said Kyler Murray did not wow people and was not very good with the interviews, did not do well on the whiteboard, just drawing plays up and deciphering things. So that'll be an interesting dynamic to see how that plays out. There's some people that point to Murray's 5'10" stature and say that he's not going to be what some other people think he will be on the NFL level. So you got really two ends of the spectrum. Some people are really saying he's going to be basically a bust, and then you got other coaches and teams that really want to move up or grab him early, very early. So we'll see. There's going to be some trades, I believe, before the draft, during the draft, and this draft is definitely going to be exciting. Now, that being said, if you've listened to the show, you've heard me say that the 2018 class, in my estimation, may be the best one ever, or right up there, arguably the best one ever. I don't think the 2019 draft is going to be on that level. I think it's a defense-heavy draft. I think Haskins is the best quarterback in this draft, in my opinion. I think he's going to be a very solid, potentially Pro Bowl quarterback. There's a few others that can go either way, but I don't think that there's the quarterbacks that we saw kind of last year with Darnold, Mayfield, Rosen, and that group. But you never know. You never know. And I will say this, where last year's running back class with Barkley, Michelle, Geis, who I know got hurt, Philip Lindsay, who was actually undrafted, Royce Freeman, Ito Smith. Last year's running back class is one of the best in a long, long time. This year's running back class really is for lack of a better term, not very strong. I guess the best one in most people's mind is Josh Jacobs, and he's a guy that a lot of people still don't like. So there's no Saquon Barkley, in my estimation, in the 2019 running back class. But again, that's technically not really fair. I mean, you got one of the best guys running backs ever to come out of college. So, if that's the litmus test, you're probably going to fall short almost every time. But even that being said, looking at this running back group, I'm not very impressed. I don't even know if we get many starters right off the bat from it. There are some decent receivers, but the 2019 draft class is going to be defense heavy. And, when you look at the 2018 class, it was really balanced and just like I did on my show there a few weeks back, you got 44, 50 guys that are all contributing starters, putting up numbers. I don't see it with this 2019 class. Time will tell, as always, as that cliche line goes. But if you're putting these classes up next to each other, 2018 is far better, in my opinion. The Antonio Brown saga in Pittsburgh looks like it's coming to a head and to an end soon. The Steelers have said they pretty much will probably move him by Friday. This show comes out Friday, so by the time this show airs, he might have a new jersey for 2019. I'm going to come at it from a Steelers fan perspective. As you might already know, I'm a huge Steeler fan. I go to Pittsburgh once or twice a year for games. I have for many, many, many years now. I used to be a huge AB guy, and I just don't know what happened the last couple of years, and more this year. He just really went off the deep end with social media and just wacky behavior, and it's probably best for both parties to move on. My fear as a fan is that they don't get enough for him. I mean, to me, he is the best receiver in the game. Forget the off-the-field stuff. And his behavior and his acts are bringing his trade value down. So, they're hoping they can get a first-round pick still for him. I'm hoping they do too. If he goes somewhere and just kind of keeps his mouth quiet and plays football, he's a great player, but he's kind of went off the deep end. Now he's doing $500 happy birthday-grams, and it's just real odd behavior, dyeing the mustache blonde, and just constantly jibber-jabbering and taking shots at people. And if I'm a team, looking at acquiring them, you got to look at that and say, do we want this in the locker room? Do we want this off the field attention? And that's things that these teams have to determine. If is the production, Mike Tomlin said this himself during his last press conference, is the production worth the headache and the hassle? And, you've heard a couple teams actually drop out of trade talks pertaining to Antonio. So I think the axe wearing thin. Whoever trades for him is probably going to, one of the first things they're going to do is sit him down and say, listen, we gave up some stuff for you. We love you as a player, but we really need to focus on that. We got to tone down that off the field social media stuff. And can he do that? I don't know. He's getting a rep for being kind of a moody pout, something don't go his way pout. A lot of people point to the fact that Juju Smith-Schuster won team MVP, and things really went south quick as soon as that happened. So, he's a temperamental sort. So, it's sad that we have to move a guy like that, because he had the potential to be the best receiver in Steeler history, a Steeler legend, and apparently that doesn't mean as much to him as it does to other people, and he's ready to move on, and both sides are at an impasse where now that has to happen. So it's sad as a Steeler fan, but we can't have stuff like that. We gotta move on from that, and if someone's gonna get a good receiver, well, what else are they gonna get too? Are they gonna get that odd behavior off the field, social media, filming from the locker room, calling teammates out? I expect wherever he winds up, the minute he gets traded, he's going to continue that Steeler bash fest that he's been on lately. And it's going to be that new team that he goes to that's probably going to have to pull him aside and say, listen, enough's enough. You're a Raider, you're a Cardinal, you're a Jet, whatever he winds up going, we need to talk about that. You're not a member of the Steelers no more. Knock it off, kind of. So we'll see how that plays out. As a fan, I'll be honest with you, wherever he goes, I'm obviously not going to root for him anymore. I'm hoping we can pull a first-round pick out of the deal, and we'll see how that all plays itself out. And while we're talking about disgruntled players, let's head to the NBA, where there's a few of those in the league. The Anthony Davis stuff has kind of quieted down, but the LeBron stuff hasn't. He's doesn't seem to be happy. He's kind of pointing fingers at teammates, not during timeouts. He's not always in the huddle with the rest of the team. Rumblings coming out of L.A. Is that there's a little buyer's remorse there, that maybe the Lakers are second-guessing themselves at whether they should sign him. A lot of people are saying LeBron's become more interested in the off-the-court stuff. He produced a rap album with 2 Chainz. He's doing the new Space Jam movie. He seems more Hollywood than getting it done on the floor, pointing fingers on the floor. So a little bit of that bloom is coming off the rose in La La Land. What do you do if you're the Lakers? You kind of locked into him for a while. You got Kyrie Irving now in Boston, who's not happy, and is, reports are he's basically checked out there. So what do you do? Can you, maybe you trade one disgruntled guy for the other, LeBron to Boston for Kyrie, and give them both a change of scenery? I don't know all the dynamics. I'm assuming they probably have no trade clauses, so that may not even be able to happen, even if both organizations wanted it to. So both these, famous basketball organizations in the Lakers and the Celtics have a dilemma. How do you get through this? How do you, get on the same page with your megastar? Because you need to be. I mean, if things continue on this tread with LeBron, they're at risk for not making the playoffs. How crazy is that with that lineup and LeBron, that they may not make the playoffs? There's people who think they were better without LeBron last year. So, Kyrie, like I said, doesn't seem happy in Boston. There's some rift I'm hearing between him and Brad Stevens. And once your franchise guy sours on you, it's hard to really reverse that. I don't care what anyone says. Closed door meetings, those most of the time don't work. So, it'll be interesting to see what these two organizations do, how they handle this, how they go forward with their franchise guys being a little bit disenchanted. I know we don't talk a lot about hockey. It's not my forte per se. I do follow it being a Ranger fan, but by all means, I'm not going to be facetious and tell you I'm an expert. But one news to report is Hall of Famer Ted Lindsay has passed away, 93 years old. famous for being on that line with Gordie Howe. So the hockey lost a legend this week. Check out our supporter, Break Stuff Market, your new innovative and global marketplace for trading cards, stickers, and sports memorabilia. They have some of the lowest fees on the market at only 4%. All their transactions are secure via PayPal and Stripe. It's easy to set up from any device, and they have some of the highest community and security standards to avoid being scammed. Don't wait. Join Break Stuff Market now. Go to https://breakstuff.market. Wanted to do a closing here on episode 16. As always, we appreciate you listening to the show. I'm still amazed from episode 1 to here in 16 how far we've come from listeners into double digits to now 4 figures. You know, I'm not saying this to brag. I'm saying this to thank you. It's just amazing. You know, I enjoyed doing the program, and I hope you enjoy listening. Based on the listens, I think, you know, there's enough of you that do, that we're going to keep doing it, you know, for as long as you have me, in a sense. You know, I say all the time, there's other things you could be doing rather than listening to this program. There's other shows that you could listen to instead of this program. And if you're like me, I listen to 4 or 5 sports card podcasts. So, you know, I'll never besmirch another show. If you love any show, listen to it. Especially they're free entertainment. This show will never ask for any money or donations unless, I'll take that back. We'd ask for donations for charitable causes, you know, signatures for soldiers, Already cards, a tragedy in the hobby or industry that we can all get together and rally behind. No doubt about that. But we'll never ask for donations towards the show itself. It should be for free consumption, and it always will be as far if I have anything to do with it. I only ask for a few things, and they're free. If you like the show, you enjoy the show, a shout out, a review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to the show on, really goes a long way. Word of mouth in this industry is huge. If you like the show, tell your friends about it that are in the hobby. Hey, you got to hear this podcast, Sports Card Nation. That stuff is worth more than any, you know, dead president to us, and we would really appreciate that. So if you like the show, you don't have to pay us. We're not asking for money, but give us a plug, give us a shout out, give us a great review. Tell your friends about the program and get the word out there, spread the good word. So that being said, a sincere thank you from us here at Sports Card Nation Podcast. We'll be back next week with episode 17 and more after that. And before I go, you know, I know we don't talk a lot of hockey on the show, sports-wise and even hobby-wise. That's something I'd like to change. So I'm going to put a call out there to Arms. If you're a hockey collector or hockey even dealer, someone very involved in the hockey side of the hobby, I don't really want to ignore that aspect of the hobby. I'd love to have someone on once a month, kind of to give kind of a hockey report and what's going on. Talk about maybe the product they've opened, the hot players, and that sort of thing. So if you think you fit the bill and you're willing to do that and be on the air and talk about hockey, get a hold of us on one of our social medias. Reach out and we can discuss having you on. It's something I want to incorporate in the show. We'd love if you could help us out. And for all the other hockey collectors out there too, I'm sure they'd appreciate that as well.
You've been listening to the Sports Card Nation podcast. Join host John Newman next week as he gives you another jam-packed episode of all things related to the sports card hobby. And a little extra fun, too. Don't forget to check out the show on Instagram at Sports Card Nation Podcast.